We don't wait well. So why? What is it about waiting that we cannot, it's not ingrained in us. It's why I titled this Fighting to Wait, because waiting is not something we do very well. Now, I'm not talking about being lazy. Now, that's a whole nother teaching. But waiting well. Mainly because we weren't ingrained to wait. I have a book that I read. I actually read it on a flight to Maine. On the way there and on the way back, it was done. And I don't know if I've ever read anything that quick. And it's not a typical, it's not one of our books we sell in the bookstore. It's just one, it's called the Warriors Ethos. I'm not promoting it, by the way, just factual. And in there it talks about where warriors come from and how they think and how they process, because in our journeys, we're helping people come out of things. And in reading this, it says in our background, the virtues of a warrior include everything from courage to honor, loyalty, integrity, selflessness, bravery, being in motion, being activated, being involved, always in some kind of moving forward. But where did it come from? Some people will say that it comes from having to survive something in your life. Whether you had a rough childhood or where you had a rough adult life or whatever, that's where that push comes. But I think it's farther back than that. I want to go all the way back to Genesis. We're going to start there. Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve had this perfect location to play in. All the animals, they got to name them. Like, why would you name it a giraffe a giraffe? Like, I'd love to ask Adam and Eve one day, which I'm not sure if I get to. Why were they named a giraffe? Why an elephant an elephant? They had the best job. They just walked around, took care of God's garden. We all try and start a garden, and we think we don't have a green thumb, but our problem probably is because we don't wait. Think about it. We're trying to hurry something up. We add more fertilizer to hurry up instead of naturally doing something or whatever it is. But Adam and Eve, they sinned. They made a mistake. How many of us have made a mistake? I've made a few already today. Except Adam and Eve did the one and only thing they were supposed not to do. So all of a sudden now, Adam and Eve, who have now figured out, one, they got to make some clothes because now it's awkward. They're being kicked out of the only place they've ever known, Garden of Eden. And they're just not kicked out. It's not like God kind of just booted them and they're standing there. No, he booted them out and said, listen, because of your sin, now you and your seed will now have to sweat for everything you ever want. You will have to work the ground. You will have to sweat to make bread. You will have, what's the word in childbearing? Travailing kind of thing. You're going to have to work for it. And then as he booted him out, says, you're going to have to figure it out on your own, because I don't see in Scripture where he gave them the survival book. I have 3 or 4 really good survival books, all from different parts of the world. They're really great, but I don't see in Scripture that God said, oh, by the way, here's your manual to survive. He said, boom, and he put 2 cherubims with 2 flaming swords at the gate saying, you don't get to come back in. From that point on, Adam and Eve had to survive on their own. And I think that's where the ingrained of us to have survival mentalities started, the good ones. We've been conditioned to fight. We're supposed to anyways. We're supposed to fight for our loved ones. We fight for those that are not treated correctly. We are in a spiritual battle. Ephesians chapter 6 says we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So even it's ingrained in us to spiritually be in a battle on a constant basis. Looking at our own world says cast away your own transgressions and make a new heart. So we're supposed to be always looking to fix things that don't line up according to God in our hearts or minds. A war. It's in our genealogy, all the way back to Adam and Eve. Cain wrestled with a spirit of jealousy on chapter 2, it seemed like. It's like we went from them being born or kicked out of the garden, born, to Cain committed murder. That was a wrestling match. It was a war. He lost, made the wrong choice. You look at different people who now had to fight in their life, in their world to survive. Cain, now feeling remorse after killing Abel, looked at God and said, listen, if you're going to kick me out and I have to go, I can't remember where he headed towards. He goes, but they're going to hunt me down. God says, okay, fine. You still have to survive, but I'm going to mark you. Marks him so that nobody would touch him, and says, listen, I'm even going to protect you in your survival. That anyone who touches you will get sevenfold what they do. I don't know if that was much of a protection thing. More like a threat. I'm okay there. But Cain had to survive. Joseph had to wait. Now, I'm not sure how well Joseph waited. He was given dreams, given visions. His dad gave him an awesome coat. Went and showed his brothers. Brothers threw him in a pit. How long did he have to wait in the pit? Does it say? But he had to wait, didn't he? But he still had to believe in the midst of waiting. He didn't know what was going to happen next, but he still had to wait. Joseph gets sold out of slavery, then gets sold into slavery a second go-around, and is now put at the king's guards and put in the most powerful place in the area, and now he still has to wait. Joseph waited pretty well. He planned things out, executed visions, saved an entire kingdom, an entire race, and saved his family and the future of the Israelite family line. Because why? He waited. And in that waiting time, God prepared him for what was next.